Mm-hmm.
So we're going to begin with Surely the Presence. We'd like you to all join in. Let's join our spirits. Come together. Thank you. Today we're proud of you. We're going to show you.
When I look into your eyes, every time I see you smile, so proud of you. Every time I see you share, when I see you taking care of everything around you. So proud of you. So proud of you. So proud of you. So proud of you. So many things you make me see, so many things you show me. So proud of you. Living life so naturally, flattered by your loyalty. So proud of you. I'm so proud of you. 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 So proud of you.
Thank you, Barbara and choir. Beautiful song. So proud of all of you. Barbara's been our music director for many, many years now, and we're just so grateful to have her and the choir back. Also, I'd like to welcome everyone to Unity of the Seacoast, where two or more are gathered. We always see a crowd. And especially welcome all you new listeners. And feel free at any time if you want to stop in. We're at the McConnell Center in Dover, New Hampshire, Suite 246. Could you please silence your cell phones? And we always begin with the daily word. And today's daily word is faith. No matter my need, I begin with faith. In the story of unity, James DeLay Freeman tells a story from the unity movement's early days. During a period of financial insufficiency, staff gathered together to pray. An associate said, "Let us pray that the money holds out." Co-founder Myrtle Fillmore countered, "Oh no, let us pray that our faith holds out." Today I remember the importance of faith in all my endeavors. Like everyone, I will need all kinds of things during my lifetime. More money, more time, greater harmony, to name a few. Rather than pray for specific things or results, praying for the understanding and clarity to draw upon my faith is the best place to begin. I believe in the absolute goodness of God, and I believe in myself as a spiritual being endowed with the gift of faith to direct however I choose. And from Mark chapter 9, verse 23, all things can be done for the one who believes. And again, our affirmation for today is, no matter my need, I begin with faith. And we also have our mission statement, which we will begin sharing together. If you have it, please feel free to say it with us. And our mission statement is, we are a loving, nurturing community dedicated to being a positive path to spiritual living, to awaken oneness with God within us. Okay, now here comes a lot of comments, remarks, and thoughts. First of all, Charles Meditation is the first Monday of the month at 7 p.m. It's a great meditation I've heard. I do go to a lot of meditations, but I don't attend his, but I've heard great things about it. We have also been broadcasting live to YouTube on our YouTube channel. Just type in Unity of the Seacoast in your YouTube search button. But even easier is just go to our webpage at unityoftheseacoast.org and scroll down until you see the links to bring you to our live service or even past services, in case you want to check out something in the past. All our talks are archived there if there's something you want to look back and reflect on. And also our donate button is there. It is a blue button called Tidely. Just check on it and there you go. If you prefer to mail your donation, our mailing address is Unity of the Seacoast, McConnell Center, Suite 246, 61 Locust Street, Dover, New Hampshire. And don't forget to check out our meeting group for all our events. You can also access this on our web page as well. Do not forget our poetry group, Poets in Unity. We want to thank Shane Morin for hosting this. I'm just going to get this other part here. And also, check out the game night now, the third Friday of each month at 6:30. Game night is a time to get together. We all are welcome to attend. You do not have to be a member of Unity. Come and have a fun night of playing cards or board games. We have some board games, and you are welcome to bring one to share with all of us. And next week, Tom will discuss the importance of breath. Another real important part when we greet each other comes from a Sanskrit saying called Namaste. The divine in me sees and honors the divine in you. Namaste. 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 Namaste, Rachel. Namaste. Namaste. Now, Barbara and the choir will honor us with another song.
with the cowboy hat and your cowboy boots. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't wait to look in the mirror. I get better looking each day. To know me is to love me. I must be a heck of a man. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble, but I'm doing the best that I can. I used to have a girlfriend, but I guess she just couldn't compete with all those love-starved women who keep clamoring at my feet. Well, I probably could find me another, but I guess they're all in awe of me. Who cares? I never get lonesome, 'cause I treasure my own company. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't wait to look in the mirror. I get better looking each day. To know me is to love me. I must be a heck of a man. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble. We're doing the best that we can. I guess you could say I'm a loner, a cowboy outlaw, tough and proud. I could have lots of friends if I wanted, but then I wouldn't stand out in the crowd. Some folks say that I'm egotistical. Well, I don't even know what that means. I guess it has something to do with the way that I fill out my skin-tight blue jeans. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't wait to look in the mirror. I get better looking each day. To know me is to love me. I must be a heck of a human. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble. We're doing the best that we can. We're doing the best that we can.
Wow, great song. I love country music. Did a great job. Thank you. Thank you, Claire Garden. Oh boy, my favorite time. My favorite time to share about our speaker, who I've known for quite a while. I remember when I used to facilitate a few years ago, I'd see him on the left of me with his wonderful wife, Casey. And he had just gone through open heart surgery. I believe that's what it was. And I could sense how much pain he was, but yet he just sat there and listened, and sometimes he had to leave. And I think about him today, after what everyone knows what he has gone through. And, excuse me, I couldn't help but think, well, that's a cat with nine lives. I mean, what else can we see? And when I pulled up here and I came in, I see a motorcycle. No, it couldn't be. Well, it is. He's back on his bike. And, he shared last week about our co-founder Myrtle Fillmore. I say when I was so ill, I said all the time, I says, I'm light, I'm energy, I'm love, I'm a child of God, therefore I cannot inherit any illness, sickness, nausea, or pain. And then I added worry, guilt, or blame. So anyway, without further ado, let's just give Tom a warm welcome and welcome.
Thanks, Bonnie. So I watched the service from last week, and I realized I'm starting to look a lot like Ernie. Oh, I don't mind. I don't mind. It's going to be the unity look. Even the women are going to have to grow one. So for those who don't know, about a month or so ago, a member of our church passed away, Mangala. Tuesday on the 8th at 4 p.m. is her service. It's 86 Main Street in Rochester at RM Edgerly and Sons. I think I pronounced it right. Edgerly. She's just a beautiful, sweet woman. And I didn't know her well, but I knew her enough where she called me her pastor. So I'm humbled to be there. And if anyone wants to go, feel free to show. It'll be a wonderful thing just to support her. She was never afraid of transitioning and afraid of her illness. And it was very inspiring. So she is missed, and we'll be there to support or to pay our respects. So today's talk is on ego and pride. I love the song choices already. She'll tell you how many times I've walked around the kitchen going, "Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble." Shut up. Deuteronomy 31:8 says, "It's the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not fail you or forsake you. Do not be afraid." Now, these two hands, they do wonderful things. At times, they make me feel like I'm the best at something. I've always been able to fix or build something. I've painted actual homes to painted pictures, fixed automobiles, to once fixing an elevator that nobody else could fix. These hands can pick up a guitar and make entertainment for hours. But a few songs in, and anyone who sees me knows that I'm not the best guitarist. I'm an average player. At best, I'm a trained monkey. Because I can play and duplicate songs that other people made up, but I can't hear it enough to create my own, which doesn't bother me. I have a friend who plays guitar, and often I think he's the best. This guy does wonders with his hands. But if you ask him, he'll take the humble road, and he'll tell you who he thinks is best. But I have pride in what my hands can do. And there was a time I thought, without them, I am nothing. However, I learned that I'm more than my hands. I'm proud of the many things I can do. I'm proud that I can create a string of written words into something that you guys can relate to. But that pride gets tempered by the spoken word. I work hard in my efforts to speak in front of you. But I know the awkward pauses, I know the lisp, I know the struggle to remember. And I don't mind that either. That lisp has been part of me my whole life. So I'm not the best speaker. I'm probably not even in the top million. Could have said nah. But I'll let my son have that title as a great speaker, or my nephew. My nephew spoke at my mother's funeral, and his voice and emotion carried and made such a connection. It was just a wonderful speaker. Every few years, I'll sit and I'll sketch stuff out, and I don't do it as much as I used to. But each time I do it, I feel pride, and that pride goes back to when I was a kid. Once, for my mother, I drew a picture of an old shack at the end of a pier, and I showed it to her. She loved it. It had lobster traps and weathered shingles, and it really came out what I thought was the best I could do in that moment. And I was comfortable feeling that because my whole life before, whenever I drew a picture with crayons or scribbles or ballpoint pen, she always told me it was good, and she was proud of me, and she hung them all up. So I'm going to invite you guys to picture this scenario. A child draws you a picture of a house, and you see it, and it's barely a house. And you tell the child, that doesn't look like a house. That child will never try to draw you another picture. But if you tell that child, I love it, it's the most beautiful house ever, And I love the way that you've been working on the windows. Each time that child draws a house, it's going to get better and better. The windows are going to look more until that child draws the perfect house. Because that child now has pride in what he can do or she can do. I coached many soccer teams. And I remember the first girls team I coached. The girls, it was a rec league. The girls were maybe 7, 8, 9 years old. And the coaches, they drafted the girls as if they were professionals. And I didn't know, we had just moved to that town, so I didn't know the kids. So the kids I got were the kids that nobody wanted. But I remembered that story about the kid drawing a house. And I wanted the girls to get the most out of the game. So I kept thinking, I'm just going to compliment them somehow on everything. So when the kid would go for a ball, and then I would later tell them, I like how you got your foot on the ball, you got your toe on the ball, and they couldn't move the ball. Soon, every time the ball came down the field, the girls were getting their toe on it, and the opposing team couldn't score. And then I started telling them, I like the way you dribble. I like the way you move the ball up the field. You know to pass it before someone gets too close. Soon we were moving the ball up the field. And then they would take a shot. No matter where it went, I would always say, I like the way you aim for the corners of the goal. And soon the girls were shooting toward the corners of the goal, so much so that we could number them. Goal 1, 2, 3, and 4 for each corner. And eventually, we did so well that we made the playoffs. And we did so well that we made the final game. Now, at the start of each practice, there was this girl, Kiri. She would come to me at the beginning, and she would show me how she'd been practicing her kick all week. She was the smallest girl on the team, such a big heart. So that game went on. We all played great, and it ended in a tie. Overtime came, and that ended in a tie. And that brought us to a shootout, a kickoff, where 5 people from each team alternate kicking, and the one who gets it in the most wins. So I picked the first 4 girls, and then I called Kiri over, and I said, I'd like you to take the last shot. And she was scared, and she asked, why me? And I said, well, you've been doing this all year. You've been picturing this moment in your mind. This is why you've been practicing. So their first kid shot, and ours did, and we went right up and down. Kids who had never missed. 9 kids shot, all had missed. And then comes Kiri, the smallest kid, this little blonde girl in a purple shirt that she's years away from fitting into. She turned to me and turned to the team. She gave me a peace sign, and I nodded. And then she ran straight for the ball, and her foot sprang the ball into motion to the top left corner of the goal, number 2, just like the peace sign had told us. And I remember her turning to her team and the team running to her. I remember people watching and screaming. I looked up, the older boys' team had driven to watch this game, and I hadn't noticed them before, and they're all cheering. I remember Kiri's face. I remember her thanking me, and I remember her parents. And I remember every time I think of pride, that's what pride can do. You know, we were once told about pride being one of the deadly sins. The person even once told me that pride is probably the worst of the deadly sins. And I always think of Kiri when I hear that. Is pride a bad thing? Is a child driving herself to be the best she can be a bad thing? Have you ever told your child you're proud of them? I mean, that's just love. Telling an addict who's fighting each day to stay sober, you're proud of them. That's not a bad thing. Proud of being yourself, being brave enough to fight one more day is an act of self-love. Caring for someone else and raising their pride is part of loving thy neighbor. So pride has been called one of the worst of the deadly sins. And one version of that is because it says it makes us more like God. But since I'm living what I think I am, a personalized human expression of God, I don't find that a bad thing. That pride helps me get up and do things in the morning. When equating pride So to putting one's desires, urges, and wants before the welfare of others. Well, that's not really pride either. That's ego. It's a selfish ego. And I'm not talking about the self-identifying ego that spiritualists talk of. I'm talking about that ego that says we're better than someone else or we're worse than someone else. That's negative self-talk. But we allow it to go to motivation from our betterment, to separation from others. And we always have the ability to use love and peace as an internal guide, but we get lost when we use that internal guide to set ourselves above another. Obadiah 1:4. Though you soar like an eagle and make your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down. It's saying when you set yourself above others, the fall is great. One of the truest lines in the Bible, and you've heard me talk about this before, Proverbs 16:5. It's my filter for everything else. Whenever someone uses a Bible to set their position above another, if it doesn't filter through this, then I really question their motive. But it says, the Lord detests all who are proud of heart. Be sure of this, they will not go unpunished. I first learned it like this: to set oneself above another is an abomination. But whatever way you've learned it, it's a simple truth. To raise yourself above another is a betrayal of yourself and of God, and you'll feel the effects. Because peace and calm won't come to you if you feel that you're separate from others for whatever reason. There's anger in that separation from you towards others or you towards yourself. Some people, negative self-talk separates them, and then they're carrying around this inner anger of why don't I fit in? And then, it says, is an abomination or it will not go unpunished. Well, the punishment, it's self-inflicted. You're carrying this around for no need. The 7 deadly sins, people think they're listed in the Bible. They're not listed in the Bible. There's no actual list in the Bible. They were put together from inferences in the Bible. They're considered Christian tradition. And they were put together around the year 600 by Pope Gregory. And he used the Bible to validate the 7 deadly sins. Now, I don't want to take away anyone's desire to find value in them, because there's value when you reflect on these things. But understand that they were a list made for the masses by the church. It's a human creation of guidelines. They use the Bible as validity, and it's a compiled list of interpretations. I look at the Bible a little differently. I look at something I read, it becomes a living guideline and a connective force in my life. I don't set my agenda first and make the Bible live up to it. I try and find what I read, and I interpret it so I can live up to the Bible. How you do it is your own personal way. But understand that when people quote certain things, they may not even be in the Bible itself. It's just a section that they had taken. And I remember, it's about 4 years ago, I spent some time doing volunteer work. And at one point, I sent a message to Casey, and I said, I'm worn down by egos. An ego to me is when you take pride in yourself and use it to set yourself, again, above others. Or as Dr. Phil would say, you're just a little too proud of the way you turned out. I sat one time in Jupiter, Florida, eating lunch, and a man and his 2 teenage daughters were sitting next to me. And it was very clear he was too proud of the way he turned out. It's also very clear he was divorced, and this was his time with his kids. And he spoke so loudly and boastfully, he wanted everyone to hear. He spoke of his millions. Jupiter, Florida has a ton of millionaires, and they'll let you know. But he told daughter how his daughters how his influence was going to help them. He told them how they can make money, and he compared all his efforts to his divorced wife. What he didn't get, though, is he was taking his ego and lifting himself above others, and everyone saw it. His kids knew it. And I thought about what he didn't get. He didn't learn anything about his kids during the conversation. He didn't understand the harm that he was causing by wedging his divorce and his feelings for his ex-wife into this lunch. He certainly didn't understand that most people were not impressed. They kind of wanted him to shut up so we can eat the lunch. But his ego was taking him out of what could have been a really nice moment with his family. So earlier I mentioned I sent my wife a text while I was volunteering. I was worn down by ego. And the Dalai Lama wrote once, the foundation of Buddha's teaching lies in compassion, and the reason for practicing the teachings is to wipe out the persistence of ego, the number one enemy of compassion. Now, the guy who was on the staff, who was in charge of everyone, he would only answer maybe one or two words or a nod. And he could take an hour before responding. You would be standing next to him, but you didn't matter to him. It's as if his thoughts and works were much more important than what we were doing. Casual conversation at the end of the day was non-existent. And oftentimes, he would just turn and walk away from you mid-conversation or mid-sentence. Other volunteers decided that they needed to be bosses as well. And it seemed we had 7 bosses for 2 workers. And they would position themselves right in the center. So the people that we were welcoming had to walk by and acknowledge these must be important people. But I thought about it a couple of nights later, about 3 a.m, because that's what I do in the middle of the night. I wake up and think of things that no reason to think about. But I thought about them, and it came to me, perhaps this was not ego. Many of these people, for whatever reason, did not feel important in their lives. One had been out of work for a couple of years, and she made a point of telling everyone the tasks that she did so she would feel important. Another, I learned, had no voice in her life. Her daughters and her kids were teenagers, and they were off doing their things. Her husband's new job put him on the road a lot, and she also resented the time that he spent with his friends. And then another lady worked from home, and all she did was enter property assessments into a database. And she told me how isolating her job can be. And I learned by rethinking this that people were probably not operating from ego or pride. They're operating from lack of pride, feeling lost in the need to matter. So in that, I was reawakened. And I probably should have texted Casey. I was worn down by personalities and not ego. But I now see it as insight. And I see it as something that lifted me, and it restored a compassion in me. And I see ego like this. Deciding the choices that you make during your life somehow makes you better than the person next to you or anyone else. Somehow you thought that if everyone made your choices, the whole world would be better. If that were true, then everyone would be carbon copies. I don't want your choices. I hope you don't want mine. You know, if you choose to go to the gym to be the strongest, that's a great thing, but it's a great thing for you. If you choose to be the richest or the most fashionable or a vegetarian or whatever, that's your choice. It's not the right choice for everyone. And Jesus, he said, yet not as your will, yet not as my will, but as your will. He said that in Matthew 23:12. Now this statement came during the fear before the crucifixion, but on its own, it's a true statement. We as Jesus are individual expressions of God. And this statement recognizes that. We just don't let our ego run our lives. We let God's expression through us and flow through us. Whatever makes you, be proud of who you are and what you are, but not raising it above others. Because then it's not elevation, it's separation. It's the adverse ego that seems to cause so much trouble in the world. It's selfishness and greed that make men grovel for material or whatever, but it's not in the vein of the heavens of spirituality. You know, we're in the midst of watching one man's ego in Ukraine try and take a whole nation, and thousands die because of his personal ego. You know, the kingdom, they say the kingdom of heaven is hand, but for me, it's my kingdom. For you, it's your kingdom. It's yours. You can be the best version of you at any given moment. I cannot be the best version of you, so don't think like I think. You cannot be the best version of me, so I don't think like you. I respect everyone's opinion and I gain wisdom from everyone's opinion, but each person gets this wonderful gift to be unique. So if you want to be proud, be proud. Be proud of you being the best you, being a person that people are comfortable being around. Be proud of your quirks. Only you have the right to decide if they serve you or not. I love eating Chef Boyardee canned ravioli straight out of the can cold. Drives Casey nuts. But first, it's still a buck a can. But two, it's just my quirk. And I always tell her, I said, you know, the apocalypse happened. We can, $1,000, we can just stock up on canned ravioli and water. And she always says, I'd rather die. But she buys it for me because she understands it's my quirk. In Matthew 11:29, it's take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I'm gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. And I love this because what it's saying is that you're a comfort to others when you do not raise yourself above others. I mean, it's just a loving message. Allowing someone to be who they are, no matter what they are, who they are, what they look like, what they sound like, how they dress. You know, I always think of those pictures that go around of the people in Walmart, pink satin pants or spandex, and people, they send them around. They keep mocking people, but I always think this person left their house feeling happy about themselves. What business is it ours to say, I don't agree with that? Be a comfort to others, whether you know them or not, by allowing them to be themselves. Now think about a time when someone that you respected held you in high esteem. How did that feel? The love, the compassion that they showed you. Can you imagine meeting the Dalai Lama and he smiles graciously at you? Can you imagine what it would have been like for those people when they met Jesus? You know, their life had been a hard existence. And this man, although you've heard of him and you flock to hear him, he meets you and treats you with love and grace, and he heals you. And he uses tenderness. He's not the Messiah everyone thinks. He's not the conquering hero. He's the humbling hero who inspires by love and teaches us that we can be our best selves in any given moment. And he teaches, love thy enemies, not conquer them. Raise yourself to that standard, not above it, because we all have moments in our life when we succeed in doing these things. And we also have moments in our life when we fail. Our ego gets the best of ourselves, or we lower. We think we are less than or beneath another. We think that we feel as if we can't live up to others' expectations. Setting yourself below another is also a self-imposed hell, to second guess our worth when we are born from perfection into perfection. You've made the choices that fit for you. We all got to this point. You know, I and the Father are one. The Father, do the math in those two statements. Or our Father. Our Father means we are connected to Jesus. And if that's so, then I and the Father are one. Means we're all one with the Father. And it can't be any way. So we're divinely connected. Divine love. And that's the way it should be. You know, we're born not less than perfect. We're born perfect. We've allowed life to erode at that, but that's a false view of ourselves. You know, it's not about your body type or your car or how much money. It's not about our quirks. It's about how much love and compassion that we hold in our hearts for ourselves and for others. So you may be asking, Tom, why are you telling me all this? Well, there's a simple lesson here. It's okay to be proud of yourself. Be glad when you excel. We each have gifts that make us unique, and we get to honor that. And at the same time, when we remember everyone else has their gifts and makes choices, we get to honor them by seeing them on the same level, by not thinking we're above them or they're above us. So I open this talk with Deuteronomy. It is the Lord who goes before you, and he will be with you. He will not fail or forsake you. Do not be afraid. And this is, at first when I read it, it just kept sticking out in my head. And usually it happens when I'm doing a talk, and it's a clear jump to why I'm doing it. But this one comes about when God is talking to Joshua before he goes into the promised land and takes over Jerusalem. But it says something when we single out the verse. Whatever your gifts are, be proud of them. God was there before you, and you were given these gifts by God in the form of freedom of choice and freedom of expression. So this is telling you that God is there for you and will be there and expresses through you. So be proud of the expression that you are. Be proud when we talk to ourselves. Negative talk never changed anyone for the better. It erodes at us. But when we acknowledge good in ourselves, life begins to turn around and it becomes joyous. Love thyself is one of the first God-given inheritance we get when we are born. It's implied in love thy neighbor as thyself. We were born loving ourselves. And that perspective changes as the world erodes at that. So we must go back to that childlike love that we found for life and for everything. We must see ourselves through those childlike eyes. It's not our position to meet the standard of others. It's our mission to be us, quite simply. Our mission to be to meet the standard that we were given to at birth, the standard of our God within, to be a personalized expression of God. So be the best version of that. Be the best version of you. And that's all we need. Thank you. Step away from meditation.
Opening to the light, we are opening up my mind to touch the stars, awakening from this dream to find the nectar of silence beyond the mind. Opening to the light, we are opening up my mind to touch the stars, awakening from this dream to find the nectar of silence beyond the mind. We are opening, awakening, opening, awakening,
I'm going to ask everyone to get comfortable. Take in a breath and exhale. And begin to find your comfortable breathing pace. And within each one of us, there's that place in our heart center that is filled with inexhaustible light. It emanates from the center of our chest outward. It is warm. It is healing. And it is always active in us. Just allow some of that light to move up your body to the top of your head. Down your head into your shoulders, and allow your shoulders to relax. That light moves down to your arms, your wrists, and your fingers. Allow your arms to relax. That light is healing in its wholeness. When we go back to our heart space, we grab another piece of light. We move it down our body to our hips, to our knees, ankle, feet, and toes. We allow the rest of our body to relax, to settle in. We picture ourselves bathed in this light. And in this light there is knowing. I am whole. I am happy. I am healthy. Now. As we sit there, this light is growing stronger and stronger within us. We send it out to those we know, our loved ones. They are whole, happy, and healthy now. And that is how we see them. We send that out to our leaders, local, state, national, and world. And we see them as whole, happy, healthy. We see them using fair judgment now. For those that we do not know, we're fighting a brave fight, trying to get through the next moment. We send that light out to them. They are whole, happy, and healthy now. And to our planet, which is struggling to cool itself down, We see our planet as restored and thriving. We see our planet as happy, whole, and healthy. When we cast this out, we are casting out our love of self, and our love of others. The value of prayer can never go underestimated. To those at home, if you're praying for someone or thinking of something, feel free to write their initials or a heart emoji in the comment box. And for those here, just hold whoever you're thinking of at the forefront of your mind. It can be several people, and it can include yourself. And if there's someone you want on the prayer list, reach out to me, to Charlie or Lynn, or there's a box behind me that you can write their name and place it in the box. As we return to ourselves, really take a second to see yourself as whole, happy, and healthy. And see that now. It's not something we wish for, it's something that we affirm already is. We know that there is one power and presence in our lives, in our world. God the good and great omnipresence. And it's in His name, or her name, that we know it is. And so it will be. Amen. I invite you back. And if someone wouldn't mind, there's another prayer that we do. We do a collections and a prayer of tithes and offerings. No.
Look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. It always seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone. People done gone crazy. People done gone mad. People done forgot the superpowers we all have. We were born to love, not hate. We can decide our fate. Look for the good in everyone and celebrate all our mistakes. There's a silver lining. You still have to find it. I look for the good in everything. Look for the people who will set your soul free. Or it seems impossible until it's done. Look for the good in everyone.
Thank you. Now, if people will join me in the prayer of tithes and offerings. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. So it is. Amen. And we're going to close this out with the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God watches me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well, and we are richly blessed. Thank you so much for joining us for the peace song.
Good. What's Jamie doing today?
Oh, no, that's fine.